Well, we were just talking about ChatGPT, and of course took the world by storm as the intrigue about its capabilities captured the attention of millions. It seemingly provided an artificial intelligence that can think like a human, but can it really? Dan Howley is here to help us answer this question of whether it is really thinking like a human.
It is not. So I'll just take my leave, and that'll be the segment.
Thanks so much, Dan. Good to see you.
I think the thing that people have to recognize when they look at stuff like this, and you start to see this kind of sci-fi-esque almost response from these kinds of services like Bing, ChatGPT, presumably when we get Google's Bard into the public, the same kind of response as well. But what you're actually seeing is, for most people, from these programs is it's connecting words that it's previously seen strung together. So it's recognizing, it's been fed all of this different kind of data, these different articles, and it sees, okay, these words fit closely together generally, so that's what I'm going to put next. And that's really how this kind of system works, this generative AI. You call it generative because it's generating something new, not necessarily unique because it's being pulled from different parts of the web, but unique in the sense that it's making it its own using those pieces. So it's not exactly thinking. And just to give a sense of the types of issues that we've seen already, there's obviously the problem that we had seen with Bard and Google. I just want to point out that when it originally launched, there was this issue where a father was supposedly asking the types of things that it could the type of things he could tell his kid about the James Webb Space Telescope. And so Bard came back and said in 2023, the James Webb Space Telescope spotted a number of galaxies, green peas, and then it said that it took a picture of the very first exoplanet or planet outside of our solar system. Technically, that's not wrong. It's terrible syntax, and that's almost what the prior guest was discussing, this kind of reasoning ability where, this is saying that it took pictures of a planet outside the solar system. Not wrong. It was the first photos of a planet for sure, but not the first photos of any planet outside of our solar system. So it's this kind of strange issue that we're going to get. I've asked Bing a number of questions where I get responses that are different each time. When it came to the Super Bowl, it was saying that the Chiefs were favored. And then I had a colleague who was using it who said that Bing was telling him that the Eagles were favored. And we saw how that turned out. So my result was correct. Thankfully, I'm not a gambling person, though. And so, I do think that as we look at this stuff, we have to recognize that it's still incredibly early, as Julie, you were saying, but in the sense of this kind of technology for sure. But this is even just a smaller part of general AI as we know it.
I almost moved past the Super Bowl loss. You could just blast me off into space right next to that planet.
I'm sorry.
And so now, when we think about the ethics of how everyone is going to be using generative AI differently, what have we started to uncover a little bit more as more of the companies are unveiling their own ways and services and bringing that to the masses? That's
going to be the really interesting part, right? We have some artists who are filing lawsuits against generative AI companies saying that, look, you used my artwork, you scraped my artwork to train your models. I didn't agree to that, and now it's showing up, or parts of it, or a kind of permutation of it are showing up in your product. And so that is going to be a larger issue. I think, the idea of, okay, so media, we write an article, ChatGPT pulls it up, or Bing pulls it up as, a chunk as part of its explainer. Sure, there's a link there, but then you don't have to go to our site anymore, as we were talking about earlier. I think those are some of the issues that are really going to have to be worked out. And this is all still not available to the general public outside of ChatGPT. Bing is still only available to people who sign up. Bard isn't even out yet outside of some testers that Google has chosen. There's a lot of thorny issues that are going to come up over time, and I think we're just getting to the first of them. AI is still very early. There's obviously the biases that we know that are built in because people program them. They program them with their own biases, and then that's what ends up leaking in. So, I think there was, I can't remember where I read it, but it was showing how Bing and I can't remember, I think it was Google, was labeling pictures of women explicit and not men explicit, when, it would be like a shirtless man and a woman in a bathing suit. The man would be 100% clear, the woman would be 100% explicit. And then in one instance, a guy was shirtless, totally fine, and then he took a bra out and put it in front of him, and it said that it was explicit. So it's weird how these systems work, and it's going to continue to be something that evolves over time.
Not going to say anything. Just going to leave it there. Dan Howley, always good to see you, my friend. We'll talk to you later.